Is there anything you don't want to talk about?
Anything.
All right.
If anything, I'll just say no comment. But the thing I hate about the
Yeah.
thing I hate about the most of podcasts is, and it's why when we started talking to people, was like, you see a lot of companies that will, or people that will go like for the top athlete or whatever, but a lot of them have the personality of cardboard, and it's like I'd rather have these conversations because there's already.
This is good. Stop. This is good though, right here. What you're talking about, I like that.
What do you mean?
Meaning, like, is it recording?
I don't know.
Are we recording? No, that's beautiful. That's why. That's the stuff that I'm going to ask you.
Yeah,
about.
no, I hate the safe answers. It's like if
all right, I'm all right.
He's like ready.
We're good. We're good.
He's gonna be setting you up.
No. I don't.
I'm gonna leave. Like, can we just cut that whole thing?
Nah, that's fine. No, I'm talking about more for me because I'm just going like I'm getting big natty vibes right here, which is awesome. That's
is
what
it
I'm
awesome
saying.
though? Is it? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll talk about that. That's what I'm saying. We'll get into this. I'm just going through it. This is nice.
Go ahead, dude. Fire away.
Is this the 110 page?
No, you got
Or
the.
your personal?
Oh yeah, is it my personal page or is it
No,
the
this is the 110 page.
All right.
Why are you not?
No.
You're not giving natty
I'm
vibes.
fucking with you now. I better be giving natty vibes. I want my money back. I had that happen at a retro one time where there was a guy, this fucking idiot, who was doing like lat pull downs, but he was slamming it. So like everyone in the gym is just staring at him, every rep, just hitting the plates. And I walk over and I'm like, hey, can you just not do that? You're gonna break the thing. And he goes off on this tangent. And he's like, you're definitely on steroids, this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry.
He said to you.
I look like I'm on steroids. I was like, I want my fucking money back if I'm on steroids. What does it make you look like? If you think I'm on steroids, you're out of your mind. No, we have a lot of good friends that are untested, and that's definitely the move to a degree.
But your brand, so like you're with the USAPL or.
I don't like, so the one thing I don't like, I mean, the whole USPA thing kind of screwed everything up because we had a lot of untested athletes. And my thing is, I don't care if you're RPS. I don't care if you're a backyard federation. It's good meet directors. It's good people. I don't really care about that part. I think a lot of the problem with the natty stuff is that people become like, I'm only going to associate with these people. And I think that's stupid.
It is.
If you're a good person or you're funny or you're entertaining or you care about helping me build my brand or whatever, why do I care if you're on stage? Like, it's one of those things. It's like religion or these other things where you check them off where it's like, oh, I can't talk to you because you're X. And it's like, I don't fucking care. If you're a good person and we get along, why do I care what your cycle is? I think that part of it is so cringe where it's like, you can't be associated with people that are untested. Why do I care?
Well, how do you feel about like the ethics of a supplement company using enhanced people for advertising and promotion?
That part, so one thing that we try to, I mean, I don't want to say I pride myself on, but one thing I try to do is be realistic. Like, we know what these ingredients do, and, you know, I think that supplementation can absolutely help people, but I think you see a lot of that where it's like, you get this guy who's 4% body fat, and it's like, hey, this creatine really helped. And it's like, no, it didn't. So it's like, I think there is a level of like, you're going to sell your product. You're not going to, if I'm completely realistic and I don't try to sell my product to you, you're not going to buy it, but there is a line to straight up lying to people. And it's like the testosterone stuff. It's like those kind of things where it's like, if you're going to do a cycle, get blood work, get a doctor involved, do it the right way. You're taking testosterone. I know a gym that started selling testosterone. I'm like, what if my fucking 16-year-old kid came home, bought testosterone? Like, there are ways to do it where it's still scientifically backed and it's safe. And then there's just garbage that's thrown around on the internet or social media or these supplement companies where I hope that we never do that. Like, people ask me, are you going to make a BCAA? And it's like, no, I'm not, because it's not, just eat a steak. Just eat the right things, you know?
You love that.
What?
That thinking right there.
Yeah,
Nope.
I mean, I've never
Because
been
about
like,
BCA, he's still going.
I've never been like a huge branched chain amino acid advocate, but a lot of people absolutely swear that it helps with their recovery. You know, maybe those people are deficient in protein. Maybe it's easier for them to consume a serving that's, 45 cents rather than eating a steak or something. You know, there's places for it. But, we have one product that uses Pepto Pro instead of aminos. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, I stand by that wholeheartedly.
The peptide stuff, that's awesome. And again, that there is proven science behind that. And that's, you make a good point where it's not saying BCAAs are useless or EAAs are useless, but then you have the other extreme where it's like, I gained 10 pounds in my off season because I sip on EAAs. And it's like we have an intro that we haven't released yet. That's a pretty cool formula. We're not going to add EAAs to it. I had a bodybuilder actually make an argument to me where he's like, look, even if it is placebo, I like drinking it. I feel like I get energy. There's other things in the formula that help. So it's like, I'm not going to shit on anybody who makes it, but it's just one of those things that if I don't find use for myself, I'm probably not going to sell it. If you come up to me and say, hey, why do you make this? What is this ingredient? And I can't really answer you, even though if I have to ask my formulator, I don't want to sell it. Because I feel like there are certain products that make a lot of money that you can easily lean into, like the testosterone or things like that. And it's like, it's hard not to try to do it because there's money, but it's just not worth risking my reputation making something that we don't think is scientifically backed like that. So.
To your original point, we do definitely, I think, have a larger natty audience
And
than
the reason-
other brand. I mean, we have a lot of friends like that are untested, like he said, and a lot of them will not take our pre-workout because it doesn't have things like DMAA, etc. So they'll take it and they'll be like, "Oh, this is nice for like an easy day."
Yeah.
But it's not something that I would take on like a super heavy day. So we definitely have we've leaned into the USAPL audience, I think. I'm USPA tested, but obviously they're canceled now. So
Yeah, they are.
I don't think we're going to go to any of those meets, but like we haven't even really gone to like RPS or untested meets because the few times we've done it, it's been kind of a wash. Like compared to USAPL, like you're definitely right. We do breed natty.
Well,
on
and
our page.
the original reason why I asked that was just because of the strictness and, like you said, the
Yeah.
DMAA and everything. So your products are going to be
Tested,
good for that. They're going to
yeah.
be tested for that.
Held
That's
to a higher-
originally why I
yeah.
brought it up.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I think the USAPL also, because I don't work with them, obviously.
Yeah.
I think they are better at hey, you worked with the New York State meat director. This New Jersey one now wants to work with you or whoever it is. So I feel like there are other feds that I'd be open to working with, but I just I've never communicated with them. I do want to make a high stim, like do a DMA or some, even if we do it like off label and do it like make another
Side
LLC
brand.
and do it.
I love DMAA.
Because
love it.
my concern is you're gonna have some kid who buys it and they're like, well, I got popped on a drug test, and it's like I want you have to differentiate. But there are a lot of people that ask for it, and it's like it does work. It's not something that doesn't work. I've never really used it because I'm a
I thought
crackhead. without
DMA
it.
couldn't be imported anymore. It was all dried up domestically.
I mean, but you see companies that still.
I heard it wasn't DMA when you actually test it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
using Phenibut and something else to create a similar feeling and labeling it as DMA to get the marketing.
Well, it's like area genesis is like the plant extract, so you have that. There are DMHA.
That's not the same though. I tried.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I got. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as far as like USAPL like standards go, from a company standpoint, if you play compliant, it's a lot. You can sleep better at night.
I mean, I think I think it's like one of those where I started before she met me, I started the business right before COVID, and I got the first shipment literally 3 days into lockdown. So part of it was like, I remember sitting in my basement and being like, this is the first time that gyms everywhere are closed. What the fuck am I going to do to sell an unknown brand? It's not like I have Chris Bumstead or someone attached to it too where you can get people to buy it. So we leaned into that where it's like, look, I was a USAPL athlete. Let me lean into the people that I know and the connections. And it's grown that way. But and we've had people when I used to sponsor like a USPA meet, or even if I did like an RPS, I'm sure somebody would be like, wow, this is like, I'm surprised you're doing that. But like I said before, I want good people attached to the brand. I don't care if you made up a federation down in Oklahoma. If you guys have people in the seats and you are willing to work with us, I want to work with you. I don't care about that part. And I think it's silly because you end up turning into a niche product. You end up turning into like only these people are going to buy it. And, I stand behind the products that we have. So
Well, that's what happened with most of the powerlifting brands. Are you familiar with At Large?
yes.
You are? His name is
Okay.
Chris, right? Chris, over out in Ohio. He made really good products, but he was targeted almost strictly towards powerlifters. And back then, the market just wasn't big enough. Most of the powerlifters just ate a shit ton of food. They took a lot of extra stuff, and like they didn't really care about the fish oils and the proteins. And so he ended up folding that company. I think 4 or 5 years ago at this point.
Oh, wow.
But most of the companies that tried to make a powerlifting supplement company haven't succeeded like you guys have.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's cool to see that from the outside looking in.
But even we're trying to expand beyond. Like, I think that'll be a limiting factor at some point. Like, powerlifting will only get so big. So, I mean, it's definitely getting bigger over the last, I think all the negative things that have happened have actually helped powerlifting in a sense, because now everyone, like, random people are, like, watching Goob and watching, like, other pages and being like, oh, powerlifting. And you see a lot more people, like, being interested in powerlifting, So I think it might blow up a little bit, but we want to get into like bodybuilding and CrossFit and that kind of thing just to see
I think you guys are at the right point of the wave, if I can be honest with you. Like I said to you earlier, 11, 12 years ago, nobody competed raw, right? So now when you have all these people competing raw, they're putting on more muscle mass. They look better. They're following weight categories. We didn't do that. If I was 202 and I was stronger at 202, I didn't cut to 198.
Yeah.
Like, we just didn't. And, you're seeing all these guys that look like Russ Swole and Debo,
Massive,
all the guys at Power Build, right? Like, they're all strong and they look like bodybuilders. That's not how we were.
John Hack, yeah.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. So I think you guys are at, like, the right curve for everything. And I think CrossFit was a huge help. I think that really pushed the raw lifting and, the culture.
I think it's hard like, I agree with you, but it's also hard when you're running the company. You're like, I hope it's the right time. Like, I hope I'm at that point but we've seen that where, even from COVID now, where I think you have even people that don't compete. Like, it's easy to look at the USAPL database and see like there's only 25,000 people that are members or whatever else, but there's so many people. How many people buy knee sleeves or do squat and bench deadlift but have never competed, or they competed once and they never do it again? And I mean, I love powerlifting. I love the community that we've been a part of, and as she said, we want to try to get out into other places, sponsor other people, put our feelers out for like even CrossFit, even Olympic lifters, things like that. But this will always be my community. This is always going to be where I don't want to turn around and like 5 years later and you're like, oh, we don't go to those meets anymore. I mean, we travel. I think we hit like 30 states last year. We travel to. I mean, we do a lot. And sometimes you're at a meet and you're like, why the fuck am I here? But it's worth it. I work sales my whole life, and I feel like we live in a world now where everything's marketed online, and that does work. But if I shake your hand and meet you, and like I come into your nutrition shop and I talk to you and I see what you're about, I'm going to buy from you. I'm going to listen to your recommendations versus some person I saw on social media, because I don't know who you are. I don't trust you. So the community has always been open arms for us, and it is kind of cool. Like, we just ran 2 weeks ago. We had our first sanctioned meet, USAPL. We gave away 2 combo racks. We covered $3,000 in cash prizes with the help of 2 sponsors. And next year we want to do it. We want to do 5 to 10K. We want to find a venue up here and do it. And instead of complaining the way USAPL does it, let us sanction a meet and do it our way. And we'll see things that we thought we could do that didn't work out. And we'll hopefully, in our own way, pave a little bit of a way for more people.
Through what federation, though?
USAPL.
So it would still be USAPL sanctioned?
So I think the problem is that obviously a lot of the best competitors are USAPL. I actually wanted to do USPA before the whole thing happened. And who knows what happens with the WRPF. Like, I'd be open to it. She even floated the idea last year of doing day 1 like a tested and day 2 untested, and finding a way to do like, hey, we have $20,000, give away 10K here, 10K,
and just drop the sanction idea completely.
Yeah, drop the sanction. I mean, the problem that you have is the IPF, where like I have some lifters that cannot go. Even like, we're gonna do a meetup May 27th at Iron Revolution. They can't even show up to that because they might get hit with a ban. So there are certain things that I think is bullshit.
Even if it's an unsanctioned meet.
If you give out money, they could say it's wild. I don't want to go too far into it, but there were lifters last year. I mean, there was a lifter, Rondell Hunt, he was supposed to compete IPF. He was going to go compete at Corrupted Strength, was having a USAPL meet. The IPF told him, hey, don't do that. So he pulled out, and they banned him anyway. But there's a lot of stuff where they're just kind of like throwing their weight around. And I'd rather do an unsanctioned and go, here's the money. Even if it's just like a deadlift. Hey, here's best pull wins, tested, untested. Let's just do it, and not just look at it like we did it. Bring you guys on, bring different people on, make it a community thing where it's not about tested or untested or any federation. You're bringing the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York community together and having a good time. And that's just that. I don't want to create borders where there have to be borders. It's stupid.
That was the cool thing about USPA. Is you had the untested and then you had the tested, and you could do that. You could have a 1 day, and but USAPL, they fucking.
So I was USAPL, my whole lifting career, which wasn't long.
But that was a while ago.
That was a while ago. But one of the reasons why I went out and never went back is just. It's ran by a bunch of like stingy old people. Yeah. And I just, I had one woman yelling that it was on Facebook in the Pennsylvania group. She was upset that somebody was taking a natural test booster. It had like, I don't know, like Fedosia in it or something, right? Like something, it was a singular ingredient, super simple. And it brought the guy up to like a normal 350 test level. and she was saying that he should be banned and like all this other stuff. It's like, dude, it's too much.
Well, the trans stuff is going to be weird too, because it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with all of that, because I know that was a local court, but they're trying to push it to go to a federal court. I have no idea what's going to happen with that. But I'm on record saying I think the USAPL, they'll never do it, I think the USAPL should go out and have an untested division. Because yes, they're drug-free powerlifting, but can you imagine you have that quality and you finally, because there's a lot of very good untested power. They're never going to do it logistically,
but where the USPA beat out the USAPL is the equipment. At least in the, you could use deadlift bars, and I think they use the thicker squat bar, and like that's where people wanted to be. Especially the women, where they can deadlift so much more because their hands aren't that big.
Yeah.
And it used to be in the USAPL, if you wanted to be able to, I remember Mark Bell was going through it with his products.
Oh, the paying.
You got to pay to get in there.
So that was suppose it was the IPF, because once they split, now with USAPL, we could do custom single, as long as it meets spec, it's cool. And that was bullshit. Like Mark Bell, even like Pioneer Fit, where it's like, hey, pay $250,000, and it's like, no offense, but this isn't the IFBB,
and it ain't baseball, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, it's one of those things that's so silly, and you're gonna, but it's so that the bigger brands that are already attached to it, those are the only ones you can use.
Right.
And
SBD. SBD everything.
Yeah.
I do like their stuff though.
They could do more colorways, I feel like.
Yes.
You have a Tuscan Raider black sand, and it's like.
Well, even that has one license in the United States for resale, and it's Anderson Powerlifting.
Really, it's only one resale. Wow.
Yeah. So if I wanted to sell SBD at my store, I have to buy it from Anderson. I can't buy it from SBD.
I didn't know that. I did not know that. Interesting. Yeah, but even Anderson, I met him, great guy. It's funny how there's so many.
It's a big part of powerlifting.
Yeah. Well, you think of powerlifting like this small thing, but there's a community in different states of a lot more people than you think, that are part of it. So it's very cool.
So the other Fed that split off with the IPF is Raw Powerlifting or something?
No, it's just IPF. It's in America, the affiliate is Powerlifting America, PA.
Powerlifting America, yeah.
And then the IPF is just the IPF.
So you don't work with them at all?
Not the IPF.
So I don't like a lot of the way. So with the USAPL, I agree with you. It's a lot of older people. It's a lot of boomers. I've had disagreements with them. We actually went out we had this meet that we did. They had the Raw Nationals in Vegas last year. We made a really cool Vegas shirt. They saw us post it and told us we couldn't sell it. And then they treated me like a 7-year-old, where they're like, well, we own the intellectual rights. And it's like, no, you don't. You don't own. I didn't put the USAPL badge on it. It was a card. She designed it.
It just said Mega Nationals.
Yeah, it said Mega Nationals. So they were like, I had a whole fight with them about it. But they are, thankfully, I see a lot of people like Marshall Powell, who you guys don't know, but he's a South Carolina meet director, young guy, who's coming up the ranks. So you see some of those people that are being kind of like pushed out. You see some of the guys our age that are kind of coming in with ideas. With the IPF, it seems like it's just like the only thing they have is the fact that they have the top lifters. It's held by a stranglehold, and they push their weight around like this. Hey, you can't wear certain things on the platform, or like there was a. Gaston is the guy who's the head of the IPF. Someone made a meme about him and they got banned. It wasn't even like a racist or it wasn't like anything. It was just a meme about him, and he saw it and banned him. They have a lot of things like the elbow depth stuff for the bench, which I get why you do that. But then there was a rumor about them trying to ban sumo, and it's like, I'm all for a max like width that you can pull, but it's almost like, if I invite LeBron James to come out and play me in horse, am I going to complain that he's 6'8" and then no? Like, any sport is going to have physical advantages for some people. So like, you're leaning into certain things that nobody's asking for.
Can I just say something? Banning sumo in the USAPL sounds like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life, dude. That is like where oh, you like it getting banned?
Yeah.
So let me.
I don't deadlift sumo, but I know there's some crazy USAPL deadlifts that are sumo.
IPF wants to ban it, not USAPL.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry, I always still put them two together.
I don't blame you. But no, I've never been asked to do it, and to be honest, the USAPL, just like the USPA, has such a strong community in the local area that the PA is never going to touch. You're just never going to do it. You see their meets and there's like 15 people. They use Powerlifting America uses their local meets as a way for the elite levels and elite lifters in America to basically get to
Qualify.
overseas. They don't. Yeah. It's like walking into like an investment place, and it's like there's two guys sitting there like that, like a Wolf of Wall Street, like they're in a rundown little thing telling you things. It's bullshit. And I would do it. There's one guy, Vin Mangione up in New York that I do Powerlifting America with, but other than that, I'm not. We've talked about it where, ironically, as a sponsor for the pro level meets, you don't make money because of, even for untested, like Hunter Henderson's not walking over and buying 3 tubs of pre-workout. We're better at going to a state championship and seeing the smaller people that just want to compete, and that to us is better. So a lot of these bigger, like Sheffield and stuff like that, not that they would ever ask us, it's not worth it because those people aren't, they're not going to buy anything from us. And let's be honest, and I've had this problem before. You want me to pay $1,000 for like a local championship or something like that? I don't think powerlifting is at that point where that like that. Hey, you're on our live stream. Great. There's literally no one buying anything off that live stream. So it's like, again, like you said, it's not baseball. You have an active audience, but how active? So I would rather go with the meet directors I know and the feds I know. And if they wanted us to do it, I'd be open to it. But I'll be honest with you, I don't give two shits about being the supplement provider of the IPF or whatever, because you're not going to buy my product because I'm the supplement provider. You're going to buy it because you look at my formula and you like it. You know what I mean? I don't want to strong arm people into that stuff.
There's going to be a time and a place where your brand gets to a certain point, and just that extra exposure is, why you're doing it.
Yeah.
But as far as it correlating into sales, it's just not going to happen. Not right now.
And I'm also not the size of SBD, so it's like that money could be better spent on a better formula or on something else.
An extra flavor, whatever it might be.
Yep.
What about as far as like powerlifting goes? Do you think like the over segmenting with all the different feds is bad?
Yeah, I mean, I really wish we could all get along. Like I said, I'm not saying USAPL should go untested, but I really wish it was just one federation. I wish it was more. I think it's good to have federations, but again, you draw people out of it, and then you have little like communities in different. Like Illinois has, I forget the name of it, but it's been around forever. There's little segments. It would have been nice if USPA stayed around. If they weren't scumbags, because we could have kept it to that, WRPF, USAPL. I think you will see splinters. I think more so the IPF, USAPL thing is stupid, and I wish I wish they were able to, not have the issues that they have. Because I see it further splintering. I don't think it's going to benefit in the long term. And you get people who don't know any better, and they're picking federations that they don't, you're not making an informed choice.
Yeah, I think nothing can be worse for the sport than the constant division, and because in order for people to make money off it, right? If the athletes eventually want to make money, if the sponsors want to be able to profit more, you need a bigger audience, right? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
In order to get a bigger audience, you need more people to compete, right? So instead of running 6 different meets within a 1 mile radius, over a month span, if we were to run one meet, obviously there'd be a lot more people there.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the exposure, the camaraderie, the community, I think everything would benefit off of it. And it just keeps getting worse.
I think better. You made a great point earlier that there's a lot of older. So one thing I've had a problem with is I have an amazing team of videographers. My one main guy, Ray. I've fought with people where I want to have him backstage, and I understand you can't have 30 videographers back there, but you tell someone's story back there, whether they're getting wrapped or maybe they hurt or they're going head to head with somebody else. That person just pulled 20 kilos over. Everyone already sees the platform. We tell that story already. Let us get back there and tell a different story. And you get all this red tape where people don't want to do that. And I think that, you look at half these meet directors don't even have a social media. There was one guy that's like 75. I had to mail him a fucking check because he doesn't have Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, anything. And it's like, guys, the average age, it's like politicians. I don't want a 75-year-old person telling me as a 30-year-old what to do as a business owner. Same with this stuff. Like, I know you're going to have the older people that are retired that can afford the long hours or whatever, but like, I'd rather see a guy who's 30, 35, 40, or a girl that's that age as, on the executive committee because they're going to make a more informed choice with stuff versus some 75-year-old like person that competed in gear, hates the raw movement, and just like, look at the Arnold, where you had all these masters lifters, all these equip lifters, and it's a equal cash prize, but it's like we see more raw lifters of anything, so why not just, lean towards what's more popular? But I don't know. Who do I know? What do I know?
Yeah, I mean, gear powerlifting is basically just a completely different sport at this point.
It is, and people don't understand it because you go into a gym, you go into a squat rack, you're like, ooh, this is heavy. You look at some dude squatting 1,000 pounds roll, you're like, holy shit. No one knows what you get out of a suit because they've never worn a suit, right?
Oh, that's my favorite part. I tell people I used to bench in the 500s. Well, I don't tell them it was in a shirt. Are you kidding me?
I do think that.
Wait, hold on. You bench 500 in a shirt?
Yeah.
When?
I bench 515.
You got a video?
I've.
Yeah.
On a board or board or off the chest?
Wow. Yeah, Brian Reed was there. He was
okay. All right. I'll ask him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I got
like
videos
that's
700-pound squats too. I don't tell him it was in a suit.
Yeah, but I think that's also
it.
the part where you see natty lifters or people that are raw and they look at suits and it's like, this is boring, like you said, where the more I got to know that side of it, there's a high degree of technical, you need to know what, and I think that unfortunately with Equipped, I could walk in a gym knowing nothing about squatting and squat and enjoy it, even if I'm doing it wrong. With Equipped, like other sports, there's a high level of like, okay, you got to spend X amount on all this stuff. And like you said, there's not some dude, unless you meet some guy who's willing to show you the rope with it, there's a higher degree of injury because there's more weight on your back or in your hands. And it's a different, like how many people make fun of Louis Simmons when Louis Simmons, while he has some stupid ideas, had some really amazing, innovative concepts that you wouldn't have a lot of these ideas in raw lifting if you didn't have someone like that. But you look back and go, oh, he's a dinosaur or whatever. And it's like, we have such short attention spans or short memories that you don't realize, like you said, that stuff came first. And you should honor it. You know, even if it kind of, we outgrew it or not a lot of people do it, it should still be respected. And it's still very hard to do. It's not like it's easier. Like people are like, oh, 800 pounds puts in a suit. It's easy. It's like, not really. Let's see you do that.
It's
like,
just different.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just different. The problem is the gear just got carried away.
Is that what it is?
You know, I competed in single ply.
In Louis' time, they did a lot of roll lifting, like roll training. You know what I mean? Like a lot of his training was still
like quarter ply.
Right.
So it was completely different.
Well, I remember hearing when they started talking about the new suit, the multiply suits, when they started, because he started with single ply, didn't he?
Yeah, him and Ed Cohen competed in.
That was back when
like
ply. The best you could get is single ply. Then they brought out the multiply.
Well, that's what I've heard. Is that single ply is the real Equipped, where multiply is where it kind of gets carried away, where it's like, okay, now it's like the thickness of the suit or the strength, whatever it might be.
Yeah, like Blaine's a freak, dude. Sumner.
He only competed in equipment because his joints were shot.
Right, but I'm saying like
he's just as strong.
What he does in that single ply is out of this world amazing.
Do you remember when him and Ray would go back and forth at that Raw meet?
But I feel like I wish we had that now. You know, we have some really crazy lifters, but I feel like there's like almost like a legend to that. Like you just don't see that stuff. You know, like
and that's where the one meet thing would be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be everyone going head to head.
Which would be cool.
Because, like, I remember at the showdown, that dude Wong was squatting against Sullivan. And they're going literally squat to squat. And that was, like, one of the most awesome, like, things I ever seen with powerlifting. Because powerlifting is kind of like a single thing. You go up there, you do what you do, and then you leave. But these dudes were going head to head, and one was squatting, like, 5 pounds more than the other one for the world record. And, like, Sullivan won. But like watching that, I was like, it's kind of like watching a sport a little bit. Whereas, and you talk about the live stream stuff, it's like, who's tuning into that?
Well,
and no one understands it. No one understands like that he's going against him because they're squatting at different times. It's like, I don't know.
You make a great point, and I think, and people give me shit for this, and it's not a pessimistic. I think it's realistic. But where does a sport grow? Like I come from football and baseball, where like there's any sport with movement. There's it's different. With lifting, I think we get desensitized. Where like 5 years ago, if I saw an 82 kg guy pulling 700 pounds, you'd be like, holy shit. Now it's like, he's hitting it for 5. Or you're like, whatever. And it's like, you forget how impressive it is. Yeah. And I agree with you. And that's where the kind of doing unsanctioned meets go, where it's like, okay, we're going to go head to head. Or we're going to go do whatever. You know, like, you can switch it up. It doesn't have to be the same method that you use with powerlifting. But like with the live stream, there's days where I'm bored and I'm there. Like unless you're handling or you're coaching, you're involved in it some way. I just feel like you can lose that. And the big ticket is the casual fan. And how do you get that person to tune in? Mm-hmm. I caddied since I was 12 years old. I loved golf when I was involved with it. You will not catch me watching golf. Like it's not happening. So it's like that weird thing where it's like, cool, you like it because you compete, but how do you get that person to go and watch that, you know, or attend and watch? Like I remember my first time competing, my mom came out and we get through squats and she's like, all right, I'm going to leave. It's over, right? I'm like, no, we got another like 6 hours. And it's like, you know, how do you get that person to stay? It's not easy. You know, we'll see see maybe 5 years from now there's some more innovation, but I feel like there's not enough people taking chance on unsanctioned stuff, like having Sullivan go head to head with somebody, or having two guys deadlift and go head to head, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be sanctioned under a Fed. It can be just a cool idea, and it's like that's where you get cash prizes and say, hey, we have this cool idea. Winner gets $10,000. Let us film it, come out and do it. So
see, then with powerlifting, if it's not sanctioned, then they go to the judging. Now we got a whole
and
other
then nothing
thing.
counts, right?
Yeah.
So if you hit an all-time world record, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
and that's where strongman got it right. Because like they with the whole like competing thing to make it interesting, they don't. It's like how many people do you talk to don't know a thing about strongman, but when they're watching it, they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, me.
Like, this is awesome. yeah, right? And then it's like, it's under one, like, what you were saying with everyone coming and doing different stuff unsanctioned. That's kind of what it is with them, right?
Yeah, there's no
sanctions,
like,
no meets, or not meet, I don't know what you would call them. No competition's the same.
Right.
It's like different events, you know what I mean?
Yep. And that, it's funny because I think strongman early on, like, of Thor, of like certain people, but I actually think strongman is I'm surprised it's not bigger than it is, because like you said, you can change the implements. You can make it where like I might not have strong pressing, so I'm going to go and try to do something else. And unlike powerlifting, which is performed in a 5x5 box, you are moving. It's timed. It's how many reps can you do? And I feel like there's a like I want to compete in it. Like it's really fucking cool.
We got to get out of the box.
What's like an ultra masculine?
I like that.
It's like an ultra masculine CrossFit.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's endurance
let's not hold on now. Hold on.
Listen.
CrossFit came after strongman, brother. Let's not, you know what I mean?
Ultra masculine.
Yeah, but no, that
Like,
was
you
what
remember
that would
Marius-
make CrossFit a less
remember-
masculine
I
strongman. You see what I'm saying? No, you're not getting what I'm trying to say
No,
here.
that's
Just
what
saying.
I'm saying, though.
I know what you're saying. I understand. I was just basically saying that strongman was before CrossFit, so
No,
you should
yeah.
compare. Anyway, go on.
But do you remember like Marius Pujanowski?
Yeah.
No, I don't actually.
Really?
Maybe by
you?
lift.
If you saw him, you'd know. You'd
yeah.
seen him.
He was like when they were doing the strongman in Malta every year.
Okay, yeah.
He was like the super ripped one that was way faster than everybody else,
yeah.
and he just looked like a bodybuilder.
Sexy big guy.
He's a big
tight.
dude, but
I need that clip right there. No.
Yeah, he was tight.
But the constraint with other people getting into strongman, like I could train all I want, but if I were to pop under the car with the straps, I mean, I wouldn't even lift the car, right? I'm so short, like it just wouldn't even.
Right.
Ultimately, you just have to be a genetic freak to even qualify to do strongman.
Now they got weight classes.
Yeah, there are weight classes, but some of
Nobody
it's
cares about that though. Like you want to when you look at strongman, even
You're right.
I hate to say this about powerlifting too, but ultimately the super heavyweights are the most exciting. Like it's cool. It's cool to watch it. Okay, the strongest person is the most exciting.
Yes.
If that's a super heavyweight, then so
Fair
be
enough.
it. Maybe it's John Hack. I don't. Whatever. But
okay, go on. I'm sorry.
you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying,
I'd rather
but,
watch Ray at 385 pounds squat 1,000 than watch somebody at 275 squat 800.
Okay.
Equally as impressive, but I'd rather watch that.
I hear you there, but then there's also the light guys that are like deadlifting like 800. There, it's like, goddamn.
I think that's the problem with powerlifting too, is that you see more progress with the guys that are like that size, but sometimes it's not fun to watch. Like I agree with you, where you see like Jesus squatting 900 for 3 reps, and you're like, that's just insane to think about.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the smaller weight classes, while it is really impressive and the formulas and everything, they're technically the strongest. If you've seen 600 pounds pulled a million times before, even if you're a fucking 110 pound guy pulling 600, you've seen that pulled. I agree with you in the sense that you want to see a number never touched by someone ever before.
Yeah.
And when you see a Ray or a Jesus or whatever, it is really intense. Like one of our athletes went for 2K, and it's like cool to see that, because like, do I want to see a 75 go 10 times body weight, or do I want to see a guy put 800, 900 pounds on his back and squat it? So it's I think it's all very interesting, but there are issues with powerlifting that I think you can't really correct unless imagine you had like 6 rotating lifts and you're like, hey, we're gonna just do these 6. It would be interesting. Maybe that's what we need to do. Unsanctioned, tell the lifters, look, there's 3, you're going to squat, bench, and deadlift, but there's also going to be 3 other things we do that I'm not telling you. And that would be, because that's actually not a bad idea. Because you go, look, we'll put $20,000 up, so there's real money, but we're not going to tell you what you have to do. And you see who the best athlete is,
It's interesting.
But then that's
maybe you're onto something.
Yeah,
It's like, what, strict curl, a rep press?
Well, that would make it like, and then there'd be competitions that are known for this something, right? So then, like in bodybuilding, you got the different competitions that are known for a different look.
Right.
Like you got, like, say you want to do the Coalition Classic. Well, that's known for speed. And then you got like the California whatever, and that's known for like overhead movements, like things like that. You know what I mean? That, you know, we know that that's like strongman too. Like we know this guy going to the California one, he's a ringer for that, or he's like, or not a ringer. He's like the head guy going to that because he's good at overheads. But then you got another guy that's good at this, so he might win the other one. I don't know. It gives variation to it.
Did we just invent a new sport?
We might have.
I don't know.
And 2, can we bet on it?
Listen, what we're gonna do first rule, you can bet on it. If we're making our own sport, we're making the rules. We can bet on it. That's the key.
Oh, man, this is going places. This conversation.
5 years from now, we're gonna be like, remember that? I mean, that's $1 million dare. I like it. I think it's good.
The part about powerlifting that trips me out the most is like some of those guys at Power Build, like that one kid Liam.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally. How the fuck is he so strong?
Is that a 19-year-old kid?
All right.
Oh my god, dude.
I know Liam. We're not like great friends or anything. And this, how do I put it? He's insane. He's like, for a 19-year-old kid to be able to pull almost 900. I don't even know if he pulled 900.
He
pounds.
did with wraps on. I couldn't believe that.
The problem is some of these guys have the leverages that other, like, that's the thing with powerlifting. I think you're not. How often do you see a guy with shit leverages that's like on the opposite end of the ape index, which is like, you know, how long your arms are and everything. You know, like that's the kind of person that's always going to be really good. But then what I like about powerlifting is that a guy who's got long arms and you know, is typically not going to be, let's say, a good bencher. You know, right. So there's an equalizer to it. You know,
that's the first thing I look at. If I see anybody like constantly posting deadlifts, I look to see if they have a bench video. They don't have any. No. It's still 135. No. But either way, like, that was unheard of when I was a kid.
Yep.
Especially somebody that young, regardless of size. And then he's not a big dude. Like, there's not a lot of muscle on that guy. Where if you see him in the Walmart or at the grocery store, you're like, that guy lifts a lot. Like,
that's a good point.
You wouldn't even really know.
Technical understanding. He's got a great coach behind him. And it's funny because I know, you know, knowing him, he's got a very good work ethic, and, you know, he's in there all the time. I mean, you know, it is funny when you see someone they'll have 87 deadlift videos, and you're like, let me see your bench. And it's like, all right, I'll post it. They never post it.
Well, that's how I feel better about myself. You know?
Yeah.
They got to be bad at one thing.
I still want to see that 515 bench.
Yeah, we got to see
that.
Video.
Yeah, I have a 475 on video,
okay.
But I don't have that on video.
Okay.
But there's people there.
I was back with the flip phones, too.
I have the 700 on video, the squat.
Okay. No, I believe you. Anyway.
So on video.
So what kind of products do you offer?
We started with I was a powerlifting coach. I was a personal trainer. I did all kinds of stuff. And back in 2014, I was a big muscle farm. I didn't know any better. Big muscle farm guy. Yeah,
we did it.
The Arnold series.
Arnold series.
All right.
They had the Recon. They had so many good. In my opinion, I thought they were great. But the problem was I was never really a caffeine guy. So I would take these things. It would hit me the first day, and then like 3 days later, I wouldn't be sleeping. I felt like a crackhead behind Quiznos, you know, like
Quiznos.
Yeah, I always have weird things.
I haven't heard Quiznos in a while.
That's an interesting.
I just feel like a crackhead sitting on the side of the sidewalk. You're like, this doesn't feel good. So I started. I don't know who it was, but I thank you to whoever did it. I went to the gym one day, and this guy has shown me this company in California that sells. You can just buy bulk supplements at the time. So I just, over the course of 3 years, just did my research, looked at PubMed articles. Hey, citrulline, how much citrulline do I want? Okay, I want alpha GPC. Okay, I want this. And I would literally, I still have the notebook of just like what I would write down. Every day before training, I would just put it into, I'd mix it and bring, God forbid I accidentally put 500 milligrams of caffeine or something. But, and I noticed that my friends that would train with me, I'd have a better pump. I would be able to go longer. I wouldn't crash. And at some point I was like, I had a really shitty 2018 into 2019, and I started reassessing. Like, I had started working as a strength and conditioning coach, and it was, you know, you probably know, it's like 70 hours a week. It was brutal, and it was like,
you don't make enough either.
No, they literally pride themselves on not making money. It's like, hey, I make 7 cents a day, and it's like, you know, like that's just what it's going to be. And I worked under a great strength and conditioning coach where I was like, if you aren't making money, then this is not good. So I kind of had to reassess, and I remember, you know, I was like, fuck it, let me just try, let me see what I can do with this formula. And that was our base pre-workout that I dropped off to you. And then over the course of I brought a formulator on who's a PhD student. He's really good. And we started making our focus capsules. We have a sleep formula now. I have a pump pre. And it's interesting being a small brand because when he came to me, I told him, I was like, I don't care what this costs. Like when we had the pump formula, he's like, what is your price point? I was like, I don't have one. Make the best product you can, and we'll reverse engineer it and figure out a way to sell it. I mean, our pump pre, 8 grams of citrulline per serving, 4 grams of Pico 2. You have so many other components of it where, like, there are some amazing brands out there, but it is cool to say we might be small, but you put us on that tier, like, pretty high. It's not some bullshit 3 grams of citrulline, like, garbage formula. So I think we started with the pre-workout, and now it's kind of like, what can we make for any obstacle you face during your daily, whether it's sleep, whether it's a focus product, whether it's our productivity blend, which is similar to this, but it's a powder, so like a mocha flavor, it's like a coffee flavor, you want to replace your coffee. I have the Intra that we're coming out with, which is an amazing formula as well. I don't want to put us in a corner where we only make powerlifting supplements or only make body or whatever. It's really like, what can we make to help recover, get ready for whatever we're trying to do in life, and not be painted as a powerlifting supplement, but just anything you want performance-wise, we can make. That was a really convoluted way of answering your question, but I tried my best.
That was good.
Just tell us about a little bit, like, part of the journey, like you getting started, some of the tough obstacles that you faced.
I mean, I had said it earlier, but the biggest obstacle, what makes me the proudest is, like I said, I knew nothing. I had sold products before. I was a salesman, but I'd never done, this. You don't know what you're going against. And half these people, even the ones that, even like I don't want to name names, but even a lot of the companies out there, they don't have good formulas. But what I make in a year, they use on marketing in 3 weeks, So it's like, you're going up against these massive brands. How do I outcompete a brand with Chris Bumstead as the head of it? I could have a better product. And in some of our products, I think I do have a better product than, let's say, some of the Raw. But you're not gonna beat them out. So the hardest part has always been, how do I get my product into the hands of people that were willing to try it and spend money on it? And we, like I said earlier, I started the brand. I put pretty much my life savings into the first batch of it, and I got the product 3 days into lockdown in 2020. And it was like, I only sold like 60% of that batch because it took so long. You're giving samples out, you're giving free tubs out. And I remember multiple times where I was like, do I just fold the company and just, it just was the wrong time. We had met shortly after that, and she's done amazing things for the company too on the building the website. A lot of the formulations, we have a hormonal balance for women that's a phenomenal product that I think we have one of the best in the market. And we make a good team. But that's the hardest part, is even like wholesale is like, you guys reach out to me, but it's like, how the fuck do I just cold call people? It's like, the hardest part for me is I'm the person. I'm fulfilling. I'm doing everything. If I get sick, or like a few weeks ago, I hurt my lat, and it's like, I couldn't even pick up a bottle. I'm like, what do I do? Do I call a friend to go fulfill for me? It's like, being a small business, I'm not jumping on a fucking jet making millions of dollars. I feel like entrepreneurship in this country is like, oh, I'm just going to get rich quick. And it's like, I'm proud to be the one going in and clocking and doing this stuff. But there are moments where you're like, what do I do to get to that next level? I think we've been fortunate to live in this area. It's not like I live in Nebraska or something. We have people that find us that way, and we do live in 2023 with social media. I don't have to sit on a corner and scream about what I sell. It's easy to sell your product on social media, but it's hard going up against those giants, because every day there's a new supplement company.
Every day.
And a lot of them are funded by insane backers that have either been in the industry a long time or IFBB Pro or whatever it might be. So being a guy who had 3,000 followers on his social, it's not like I was massive. No one knows who I am. So it's been cool to carve our kind of niche out of that industry. So.
Yeah, it's a tough journey. I think just in general, entrepreneurship's just blown way out of proportion. Like, nobody's really making it that quick. Nope. Like, a lot of their lifestyles are rented. And we especially all the young kids, like, you deal with a lot of young kids, but they see all this flashy stuff, and obviously not here, but just in general. And, they think that it's going to happen overnight. They think it's going to happen quickly. They get discouraged quickly. But it's a lifetime grind.
That's the funny thing, is that when I started it, and I said to her, I was like, I pretty much have a 2-year-old. Like, this is my baby. You're gonna be watching this all the time. And even I had just had a meeting with one of my buddies to look for outside funding because I had a couple people that were interested, and I said, I'm not, because he's like, you expect to sell the company in 10 years? I'm like, no, I want to keep traveling. I want to keep doing this stuff. I did it knowing it wasn't going to be I'm driving a fucking Porsche. I drive a Kia, and I like my Kia. I don't need, like you said, I think in this country, you're selling ideas to people. You're selling an idea to these influencers, these kids that think, oh, I can make my money doing this. And it's like, you really can't unless you're really hardworking and you're innovative. Even the powerlifters, you see people, I'll get emails that it's like, like, what is your vision? Well, I want to be an influencer and make my money doing that. I'm like, good luck. You're not going to do that through influencing. You could have 10 million followers and you're not going to make enough money off commission codes to do that. And let's be honest, even with commission codes, it's hard. If even giving you 10% and giving the customer 10%, it's hard to find ways to give these people a lot because I'll be honest, I come from a world where, again, I caddied. I get up 6 a.m., I get home at 6, 7 o'clock at night, and I'd work. These kids now will share a photo on Instagram, and to them, that was working hard. And it's like, I don't want to sound like a boomer, but like, that's the easiest fucking thing you're ever going to do. And if that's where you rest your laurels and say, I did my job, you're not going to make any money off it unless you're really lucky or you get like the opportunity of a lifetime or daddy has millions of dollars in the bank and you just get really, really lucky. And, I think this world, people are selling these kids on an entrepreneurship that just doesn't exist. It has to be action. You have to do something. It's just not, even if you have the craziest, coolest product ever, you still have to put boots on the ground and grind your way up. Otherwise, you're not going to make it.
I can't touch it. I mean, you're 100% on all that.
It pisses me off.
110%.
Yeah, but
the amount of people, I'll say something to somebody, and I'll be like, yeah, 100%. They'll be like, 110%. I've heard that 500 fucking times.
Don't do that to me.
No. You're bigger than I am.
That was the first time. That was the first time that's ever been said.
It's true.
It is good. Yeah.
It's in their heads at all time.
It was a good name for a brand. I think we knocked that out.
Yeah. In the logo, like everything looks really good.
Yeah, I mean,
the web page. You said that you made the web page. It looks
beautiful
awesome.
Page.
Yeah, I was on it earlier today.
Oh, you should have saw it when I first had it.
It was a mess.
I got roped into doing a Wix build. I had someone build it for me for like $1,000. And I remember when we first started dating, and she's like, "Can I be honest with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "This is the worst fucking website I've ever seen in my life. This is horrible." I had someone embedded like one of our promo videos on it, and it was like, for me it was fine, but like you try to load it on a mobile page, and you're like, "What the fuck?" It's like, and then you check out, and it would bring you to like a third party redirect, and it's like, "What the fuck is this like sketchy shit?" So, but that's another thing I think that people see me and they're like, oh, this guy is doing it all. And it's like, no, I have her. I have a team of people. Like I have my athletes that actually do help it. Even somebody, like I try to remember and I thank my customers and it's like, why are you thanking me? And I'm like, because you bought the product and then you showed it to your friends. And that is more valuable than having someone with 500,000 influencers. I spent $0 on advertising the first 2 years. It was all word of mouth. It was all, here's a product for $45, $1.50 a serving. It's fair price. It tastes really good. It does what you need it to do. And I'm willing to listen to feedback. And that's what grew it. So it's like, it's always remembering that I have a team around me and I'm working hard. But so is, she has a full-time job. This is when she does. God bless you. Because I know there's times where I'm like, I need to do this. And she's like, okay, I'll put it on my fucking list. Going back to the entrepreneur part, I think that this is the fun part. You have to enjoy, just like you guys. You're building, like, people could look and go, oh, you have a nutrition store, it must be easy. And it's like, no, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of fun times too. But the fun, the rewarding part isn't the money in the bank account. It's knowing that you started from nothing and you were able to carve out a little niche, in whatever industry you're in.
We started with $2,500.
Wow, that's wild.
I had two shelves in the corner of a CrossFit gym.
That's really cool.
And I was doing a little bit of consulting for the guy, but I was also teaching the power lifts to CrossFitters.
Oh, God.
Right? So, like, don't squat like that, squat like this. Don't deadlift like that, deadlift like this. Then people started coming in from the outside and, friends. I grew up in this area, so I knew people, and it just kind of escalated from there. But the first 2 years, I had a total, including weekends, of 20 days off. Jeez. Right? And we have a brick and mortar store. That means I'm physically there, except for 20 days. And for the last 3 years now, even though we're almost 10 years in, I've woken up at 5 o'clock every single day, 7 days a week.
That's wild.
People don't see that, right? I mean, they might hear about it now, but...
Well, he started it. I just came in looking for pro hormones one time, and I was like, I'll hang out here for a little bit, and I delivered a little bit, didn't I?
You did a...
Him and sexy Ben, beautiful Ben.
Ben.
He was...
Sorry. Yeah, it was...
He was with me from the start of year 2 through year 7.5.
Yeah,
So,
they were the guys, man.
Yeah, we're like the Bash Brothers.
And that's why I'm telling you, man, I went in there to buy something and he was like, nah, you don't need that. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this dude's pretty like real. You know what I mean? He's like, nah, you don't need that.
The craziest part was like we were in this grungy CrossFit gym and people from the outside were coming in to buy product.
Yeah.
Like if I walked in and I saw this little like couple shelves or whatever,
and that was
like,
before like social media.
I'd walk out. Yeah. Like I don't know how people shop with us, and I don't know why the hell they ever came back.
For me, pro hormones.
Well, yeah.
You couldn't get them everywhere.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean.
Yeah,
I had to find them.
You could get them everywhere.
I came in, I was like, "What can I run year round?" He's like, "Well, you really shouldn't do that." He's like, "But if you do,
I got you."
Yeah. Nah, yeah, but that was I didn't even think about that. That was really kind of like that was when YouTube was taking off with like Dana Lynn Bailey and all them. Mm-hmm. That was like so long ago.
Yeah, that's when direct-to-consumer brands were really blowing up. It's completely different. But like you, my wife and I, we met. We started dating 2 weeks after I started the business.
Isn't that weird how that works?
God bless them, man. Like, we started a business with $2,500, and I was a mortgage banker at the time. Okay. So like that's where I was getting my money. But eventually I stopped doing that and started doing this. And when you have to start drawing a salary and things get stressful, and you go through all those waves, and to have a woman with you that entire time, like God
you have
someone
someone to support you, because otherwise you're just sitting there alone with a bunch of pro hormones in yourself, It's like
and a lot of caffeine.
When did you make the move? How long was it? When did you make the move from that CrossFit to like? Was it pretty soon? Or was it a couple years?
We hopped a couple times. So we actually, while I was doing consulting at the time, so the CrossFit gym was pretty good, and then we ended up building a store in the middle, and then the gym owner expanded to the other side and had like a hardcore old school bodybuilding gym.
Very cool.
We got an entire gym's worth of equipment for $4,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah, a buddy of mine had a couple tractor trailers on a property, and it was just all filled with gym equipment. So we just snagged it all. So it was a really good thing. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. So we moved into a storefront, and then we moved into our new storefront, which
Very cool.
We've been there for about 4 years.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
So we're obviously direct consumer. We do a lot of online. Our Instagram is really our biggest part, and you can find us on social media. You can find us at our website.
What are the handles?
At 110%. I had to beg somebody for that handle. That was an interesting thing on its own.
Really?
There's some French guy that had a brand out in Europe. I swear to God. So because I still had the notebook of like, what was I going to call it? Some of the names were fucking horrible. Thank God I did.
Dude, and I wish we could read that notebook. Right
I'll find it. We'll do an episode 2, and I'll bring it down and we'll read it off, and we'll rate them, because it was like some stupid shit. My last name's Pappas, so it was like Pappas pre-workout. It was like some dumb shit.
I love that. Pappas pre-workout. Well, the problem is,
if I was 6'4", like 280 pounds, you could call it Papa. Now,
this is Papa, dude. I like it.
So it's like using the 110% name. So right when I put the money down for the first batch, I go on, obviously go on social media on this Instagram, and 110% was taken by I think it was a French guy, but his company was defunct. It wasn't around anymore. So I was like, how much do you want for the handle? And he was like, you fucking Americans always ask for this. I'm not giving it to you. He's like, $5,000. And I think I called him a wanker. I was like, I tried to find an insult that was more European. I was like,
that's English.
I know, but hey, I tried. I don't know any French insult. I'm going to call him a cooked snail. I don't know what to call him. No. So I was like, come on, dude, what the fuck? Like, you don't use it anymore. And then a few days later, I asked him again. He's like, you know what? I still have it's funny because I don't believe in like the higher power it was meant to be. But he was like, you know what? I always say no. I have a feeling about this. I'll do it for like $100. And I was like, I'll give you $250 just because I feel like I'll actually go up. So it was just kind of funny because I didn't expect to get that name. And again, that's a pretty common like 110%. So because I would have been 110% subs or something stupid. So 110% is the Instagram. The website is www.110subs.com.
Technically, it's Papa Subs.
Little redirect in there.
She hates that, yeah. Well, we're working on it, but and I'm hoping to get more wholesale. I mean, I think that as we expand, we get more inventory. It's important to be into stores because, like you said, I like partnering with people that are honest. Where it's like you have someone who comes in and says, hey, I don't like a lot of caffeine, or I want a big pump profile, whatever. I'm not expecting to fly off the shelves, but just having people that you trust and you can bring in with that kind of stuff. It's important, So.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's
a good conversation.
This is awesome.
Yeah, you're good, dude. I like you a lot.
Do you ever get guys that are like real stiff? Do you ever? I gotta be honest.
Just me.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Stiffest.
But do you ever have conversations where 5 minutes in, you're like, this is going to be a terrible fucking conversation?
I don't know.
No?
Not yet.
No.
I mean, we've been pretty good with the guests.
Yeah.
You pick wisely.
Try to.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about you,
Listen,
though.
you're definitely top level right now.
Really?
Yeah.
You got energy to
Got a lot going.
That helps.
Yeah, you were high energy, bro.
I like it.
I can actually see why, like, you going like to meets and shit could really help you out, dude. Because
People are like, "What? How much caffeine are you on?" I'm like 0, and it's like,
yeah,
Jesus fucking
I
Christ.
need that. How do you do that? Yeah, I like it.
I like it. Cool.
I like it. I don't know why I just said I like it, but yeah, all right.
I mean, I